Hey guys, how you doing? Chris Rod. Today we're going to be talking, it's a simple update video about our onion beds, okay? Everything onions right now. The real question is, when do you harvest your onions, okay? So if you guys have been following along, we planted these really late, okay? And I actually got these particular, they were onion sets that were already grown and pre-cut and banded together from the big box store, okay? The reason why that happened was because the onions that we grew inside from seed, we transplanted them outside and we had a hard frost. I did it, I think, in January, so we did not overwinter these particular onions. The onions that we grew, we did not overwinter. These onion sets that I bought more than likely were overwintered, and we just transplanted them in the soil, and it had to have been late or mid-May, February time period. We got them out here. We got the drip system, we had it installed, we did drip irrigation the whole time, and they took off, and it's been great. It's probably the best onions I've ever grown, okay? So getting back to the point of the video is, when do you harvest your onions, right? So there's two things that are gonna transpire once these onions are ready to be harvested. One, they're gonna start to, here's one right here. They start to form these seed heads on the top of them. And I'm just gonna take one off because I'm gonna end up pulling this out anyways. But I've got some that we already pulled out of the yard, out of the bed, and they've already been curing in the back, because once you harvest these onions that produce these seed heads, they are done growing basically. They're done bulbing, and you need to go ahead and get those out of the garden area, okay? Start letting those cure, whichever method you utilize to let them cure, right? So we've got probably 6, 8, maybe 10 different pieces of onions that have already been curing for about 2 weeks, and they've been sitting in the sun on a table in the backyard. What we're trying to do is get the root systems that come out. We're waiting till those get nice and crispy, and the actual top growth here, we're waiting for it to turn nice and brown before we take them inside. Now, the reason why you want to go ahead and harvest and yank these out of the ground is the ones that start producing the seed heads. They don't store very well, and you want to go ahead and utilize and eat those first, okay? Now, why does this happen? More than likely, the primary reason is because here in West Texas is because of temperature changes, okay? We'll go from really low temperatures to really hot temperatures in a day. We'll have really hot temperatures, and the next day is freaking snowing. I swear to God, it's funny. Usually I resort to heat and fluctuations, which is what causes these to go ahead and bolt and start producing seed. Remember, anytime you start getting this seeding process on a flower, a plant, even your grass for that matter, is because it's stressed, okay? It could be even from water deprivation. If it's stressed and it's not getting enough water, it'll start going into protection mode and start producing these seed heads, right? So you're gonna go ahead and yank these out first and start letting them do their curing process, okay? The second way that you know these are ready to go ahead and yank out is when they start to fold over, like you see right here, where they start bending at the neck. Let's see if we can dive in here a little closer. There we go. When they start flopping over and they start just bending over, that's when you know these guys are ready to go ahead and yank out of the ground and start their curing process. So if your whole bed is already folded over and flopped over like these are right here, you can go ahead and yank out your whole bed and then get the bed ready for your next crop that you plan on growing. Or if you still have some that have not folded over at the neck where it gets nice and soft, you can just harvest the ones that are already folded over, like we're gonna do today. And I've been really excited about this because, again, these are some of the biggest onions I've grown. I'm not gonna do the whole bed, and the reason why is because we watered these on Tuesday, which was yesterday morning. Normally, after your last watering, you want to give it about a week before you go ahead and yank them out of the ground, let them soak up that water one last time. But this particular onion, I did want to yank out. Let me show you guys how big this guy is. There you go. So that just folds over like that. That's what you want. Now the roots are nice and moist still. You're gonna go ahead and cure this and let this dry. And then let me show you where we're gonna go ahead and dry these. But that's a good, what, golf ball size, maybe a softball? So right back here is where we're gonna store these onions. Right about noon, we get sunlight that encroaches the house, and then from noon to sunset is where it gets a lot of sun. Sometimes I'll scoot this table back to where it gets more sunlight in the morning, but as you can see right back here, these are actually some of the, show you two different kinds or two different stalks here. Check that out. Half of it's brown, half of it's still green. And the reason why is because that area that's green has been leaning against the table. So it hasn't fully turned brown and got all crispy yet. Here's one, same scenario. All right, these are some of the ones that I actually pulled out and harvested 2 weeks ago, because look at these guys. Started already producing these seed heads, okay? And again, once you see this happen to your onions, it's time to get them out of the ground, because all that energy is going all the way up from the onion. See how tiny this one is? Right? And producing these seed heads, compared to the one that I just pulled out of the ground, where the neck bent over on its own, no seed head formed. All the energy went to growing this onion, this massive softball sized onion that I'm very proud of. I am. So now, you know, you get that happen to your onions, it's time to go ahead and harvest them. If they're still upright and they haven't bent over the neck, just leave them in the ground, let them fall over on their own. And what we're looking to do is go ahead and set these on some sort of table. And what I'm using right here is a sheave that I've hand constructed to allow airflow down underneath it, okay? That's ideally what you want. I haven't built anything this big because we haven't grown onions or enough garlic to really require me to do this, okay? This is my second year. I've been growing crops for 3 going on 4 years now, but the amount of onions that we have, I'm gonna need a bigger table. I'm probably gonna need a stand now where we can set these, a little bit of shade, but a lot of airflow to dry these out so that we can bring them inside and start eating some of these delicious onions that we've grown. That's it for the onion video, guys. Now, if you guys will stay tuned, actually, if you have a comment, leave a comment below. If you have any questions about how much we water onions or any kind of fertility applications we did to our onions, leave those comments and questions below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I will get back to you guys as soon as I possibly can.